And we are back. Been a while. New haircut, new video, and new announcement to come. But I have finished Malazan Book of the Fallen, and it was a journey. I started the series back last June, June 2022, and I managed to finish it by the end of March. Now, going to college drastically slowed down my reading pace, whereas I finished Wheel of Time between a span of March and September. This one took a lot longer. Yes, they're thick novels. They're literally known as the 10 very big books, but also life got in the way. And I think my journey here at college in my first year as a transfer student kind of reflects my reading journey with Malazan and what the characters get through. Yeah, I didn't fight lizard monsters or undead people that can fall into dust or throw bombs at dragons, but I did have an experience I was not expecting. But before we can get into all of that, I have been working on something. Don't worry, this whole time that I've been MIA, it's been for a slightly good reason depending on your taste. And that is I've started a new channel, a fitness focused channel. Just kidding, I actually decided the fitness videos are going on this channel, the Jack Nerd. I thought about it, and while I was editing this video, and as you'll see later on in this Malazan review, that I am the Jack Nerd. This is who I am. I don't need no YouTube algorithm to tell me where to upload. I'll upload me, my genuine self, and what I'm interested in on this channel. I don't care how many views it gets. I don't care as long as I find the genuine people who enjoy this content. I'm going to produce the videos I want and make them as good as I possibly can. At the end of the day, this is an expression of myself, and I am the Jacked Nerd. I am also Becker Torkman, so why split those two things apart? I can both educate on the physical wellness and development of the body and also nerd out about fantasy series. So please, instead of going and subscribing to the second channel, stay right here. Subscribe to this channel and give the fitness content a try. It may be a bit jarring because as I've been developing it over these past couple months, I've been thinking of targeting it towards a certain audience, like the teenagers who lift or the young adults who lift. So the message may not completely align with where you're at in life, but all of this advice is as good as I can make it currently. I'm always learning and growing, and I expect to know more each and every video that I upload. So I'll let you get onto the content you actually clicked on this video for, but once this video is done, give one of my lifting videos a shot. Thanks, guys. Let's get on with it. I know what I'm talking about, but I'm also still learning every single day. I'm super passionate about nerdy stuff and lifting things. My literal bio on this channel is I lift and I know things. So please go over there, subscribe, and watch some videos. That is all I ask of you. And now let's get into the Malazan review. As I mentioned, it kind of correlated with my first year in college in that it wasn't what I expect. And that is the journey of Malazan has so many twists and turns. By the time you get to the finale, you're kind of like, whoa, we started there? This was both one of my favorite things about the series and least favorite, because there are so many plot lines opened up and so many branching pathways, so much depth to the story that you can't possibly explore all without these books being 2,500 pages each. So as I go along, I'm expecting for certain things to conclude or give me answers, and it doesn't really happen. And some things get answered, absolutely, but there are so many events and occurrences and characters that are just left hanging. Now, I know there are like 20 other books besides this main series, and I will eventually get to all of those, but it is so irking to be like, oh my God, I just read a whole book about this awesome thing. Once you finish that book, you move on to a completely different storyline, but you may not even touch on some of the things that were discovered within that book. This doesn't really happen too much at the beginning of the series, but as you go on, there are just dozens and dozens of events and characters where I'm like, please just spend 3 chapters either wrapping this up or exploring it. And on a bigger scale, once you get to the end of the story, all the factors at play will be completely different from what you could predict when you read the first 3 books. Yeah, you could get a couple right, but if you had to list a top 10 most important, you would maybe have 1 or 2. This is something, as I said, I both like and dislike. I like it because what did happen, I loved a lot. Some things were just so emotional and impactful for me that I wanted more. You set so much stuff up that I got invested in that I just wanted more. And I wanted this massive finale, this absolutely stunning occurrence. And it was huge. It was a big finale. But with how much was set up, I expected something that I had never seen before on a scale that I couldn't understand and with intricacies that just simply would require me rereading it and rereading it. I'm sure there are those, but I got the gist of it the first time around. Steven Erikson sets up and pays off events both unexpected and expected extremely well. I have to say, Toll the Hounds had a conclusion I did not see coming. This plotline was in the background. You saw it there and you were like, okay, I guess this is going to play into everything somehow. But it becomes such a huge event out of nowhere. It's like a treat given to you that you were not expecting. Things like that happen in Malazan all the time. If you're like, holy shit, I got blindsided completely. If I had to summarize Malazan as one thing, it would be a tale of human resilience. That is a theme that runs through every single book. Yeah, there's gods, there's ancient races, there's dragons, there's demons, there's all of these things, but cunning and resilience and the ability to say fuck you to everything is what Malazan comes down to, in my opinion. This theme plays out in a multitude of ways, whether it's being literally too angry at death to die, or having empathy for a being that is cruel and sickly. There are dozens and dozens of characters who get their own POVs, whether they're human or not, but you see something human within them, and it is displayed along these lines. Whether it's a folly of somebody who does not see the value of what it means to be a human in the Malazan world, or it is somebody discovering that value within themselves. But speaking more on characters, there are no side characters in Malazan, but there's also no main characters. This plays like a history book, really, while there are prominent figures, there are legendary figures. The way it's written and who's given POVs, you don't feel like you're following the chosen ones or the main characters. You feel like you're along for the ride with a gang, with a squad, with your homies going to battle. There is a group of people and none of them stand out more than any of the others. Yes, you have your favorites, but there are no chosen favorites by the author, I would say, except for Tehel. He is definitely a chosen favorite by the author and crew. You know, I lied, there's a couple chosen favorites, but they still don't really get a ton of POV chapters compared to other people. These characters are one step outside of real. What I mean by this is they feel very real, but then have that extra something. I can feel the D&D character customization influence within the writing. They have their specializations, they have their purpose, but they don't know it, but you can see their skill sets very prominently, and I appreciate this. Makes the characters feel more real in a sort of way, because humans are like that. We have our preferences. We have the things I like. Like I talked about before, I like to lift and I know things. That is who I am. If I was a character in Malazan, I would be the buff guy carrying around a big bag of books. Yeah, it's one step outside of real because Erikson extrapolates their attributes to a more fantastical level. I love this because it just makes them feel like more enhanced versions of themselves. But that is for the most part. There are some characters, like a certain dum-dum that appears in the future books, that is really funny sometimes, but is overplayed and overplayed and overplayed. And sometimes you don't want to hear the same joke, or you don't want to see the same pattern of behavior repeated despite the lesson needing to be learned before. Overall, it usually is done very well and leads to rewarding outcomes, but sometimes there's a character where it's played a bit too much, or they do not come full circle and learn something. Or if they don't learn something, die in a really cool or painful way that I can laugh at, cry at, or go, huh, at. Now, the thing you've probably heard the most about Malazan is the world. It's so deep. There's so much to read about. There's so many little facets to look into. Very much true. You can see the anthropological influence that Erikson has. Holy crap, there is history and bones galore, no pun intended for those that have read. I think part of the reason I wanted so many conclusions to things that maybe he did not see needed a conclusion was because he put so much time and effort into these individual parts. There's depth to everything. There's always a second sentence to add more detail, even when the first would have been like, wow, that's a cool background. He's like, yeah, but here's an extra detail with an extra little fact and an extra little foreshadowing and an extra depth into the history of this world. Oh, and it relates to that thing I talked about 2 books ago. For some of you, that may be overwhelming, but for someone who gets random facts and little tidbits that I'm like, I want to know about that stuck in their brain from 5 books ago, it was amazing to see something be, aha! You have so many aha moments throughout this series. But for those of you who really kind of want to focus on a singular storyline or the threads of the modern people and everything that's going on, there may be a lot of this extraneous information where you're like, come on, I don't get how this applies to the situation. I don't really care. Give me the overreaching plot, because it can feel meandering sometimes, especially some books where it's just walking and walking and walking and walking and oh, huge action piece and walking and walking and walking for another 600 pages. But if you are into all the little details and character nuances and adding more depth to the world, then this is definitely the series for you. Now, when it comes to how this relates to my first year at college, well, when I entered college this school year, I was on Bone Hunters, book 6 of Malazan. There'll be no spoilers in this little story, but this was the first series where I hadn't been steadily progressing through books at about 100 pages a day. I hit school and school hit back. I dropped my reading pace drastically to deal with new life stuff, new experiences, new journeys, and new people to meet. And in Malazan, I followed the same journeys as the characters. As I said, yeah, I wasn't doing fantastical stuff, but I was discovering myself in a brand new environment. Bone Hunters is where these characters start to really become finalized, start to find their place in the end scheme of things. And I was too, as a young adult. I'm merging into this world and figuring out who I was. Yeah, I'm a bit older. I transferred here as a junior because I had the COVID years of college, but this new experience in a new place, just like the characters were going through, has helped me develop into who I am. In these past couple months, I've done a lot of self-reflection and identity chasing to determine who I want to be, what I want to do, where I want to go, everything within my own life. And yeah, I probably could have done this with other series, but I did it with Malazan. Reading Malazan slower, more aligned with my life. And that theme of human resilience, the ability to just persist and to go your own way depending on what you see as right, what you want to do, really stuck with me. Because here in college, I'm gonna be honest, like, yeah, I like what I'm doing a little bit, but overall, this is not something that I see myself really wanting to do for the rest of my life or long term. So I want to take those risks. I want to choose what I want. And Malazan was a masterpiece demonstration of not letting factors supposedly bigger than yourself determine your own path. These gods, these demons, these otherworldly forces could not compete with the human resilience within each of these characters. The ability to just be like, fuck you, as I said, stuck with me. And as I read it at the slower pace, it kind of helped me realize these things take time. Everything nowadays is about having it quick, having that instant gratification. Yeah, I'll put in the work, but why can't I have it faster and faster and faster? Well, that's not the way things are. It's a slog. It's one of those long marches that you almost die on. Foreshadowing, hint, hint, you'll get there. Sometimes you have a grand plan and it works amazingly, and then you get your head bashed in right at the end of it. Foreshadowing, hint, hint, you'll get there, no spoilers. Sometimes you're ready to go to battle. You're there with your comrades and you know you have a job to do. It doesn't matter what's against you. And then the ceiling falls on your head and all your friends are dead. Hint, hint, foreshadowing, you'll get there really quick, actually. But what I'm saying is that the events in Malazan may not directly correlate with my life, but it is an example of how fantasy can be applied to your own situations. People are like, I must read only non-fantasy to get anything of value. But no, there's application, there's empathy, and most of all, there is inspiration within these stories. Malazan really doesn't seem like, it'd be the most inspiring thing. It's not about the main characters. It's not about the hero. But you find those moments where you just see a human doing what they believe is right to do. Not just humans, but the human nature that shines through. And that's what I love most about Malazan, because it's all about belief in yourself and belief in those that you trust. Also doing whatever the fuck you want to do. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please go check out one of my lifting related videos. I hope to inspire within you the passion I have found and show what an amazing experience it is to have activity within your life and to improve your health on all sorts of factors. There will be more than just lifting. I'll be covering diet, I'll be covering other forms of exercise and what you can do for your mental health. Malazan has influenced me in so many ways, but I have to give one last thanks to the series and Steven Erickson for cementing this last lesson as I was editing this video. That I am who I am, and what I believe is right, and the things that I love are worth expressing. There is no need to split myself up into two parts. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Check out one of those videos, like and subscribe, and I'm out. Peace.